What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. The Elimination Chamber pay-per-view is over and there's a new WWE champion on Raw. What surprises and swerves should fans expect as the road to WrestleMania goes through South Carolina? Well, join us now as we look at this week's edition of the Red Brand, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including a dream match not taking place at WrestleMania, WWE teasing Cody Rhodes' return, the time John Cena had a real fight in the ring, WWE Rehire a fired superstar, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Now, as always, we won't recap the matches, but just provide you with the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good as number 1, a tag team with potential. Last night's team of Tommaso Ciampa and Finn Balor suggests Raw may have a new tag team worth keeping around. Raw had a number of strong tag team matches, a real rarity on the show, but one that shows how tag team wrestling is a great way to help fill Raw's 3 hours. With the WWE apparently planning a series between Finn Balor and Damian Priest, it remains to be seen if the promotion is keeping these two together. If it does, the team can provide some entertaining matches before the WWE sets up the inevitable breakup. Number 2, Brock is gold. Brock Lesnar's victory lap on Raw was a fun way to start the show and continue the build-up for Lesnar vs Reigns' Mania match. The verbal showdown between Lesnar and former advocate Paul Heyman helped, and Lesnar's comments he's headed to SmackDown is another example of how to cross-promote both shows. But with Lesnar rumored to be signing through WrestleMania 39, the WWE should take advantage of his newfound popularity with the universe. Brock Lesnar is having the time of his life right now, and it's provided the WWE with a way of enticing fans to tune into Raw. Also, love the voice crack. You know he's got some fire in him. Number 3, Edge's promo. Edge's promo was a reminder that he's one of the elite few who can sit in a ring for 10 minutes and keep the fans hanging on his every word. Last night's segment featuring the Rated R superstar was a great way to set up the table for whomever the WWE decides to have him wrestle at this year's Showcase of the Immortals. It's obvious that it's going to be AJ Styles, and we couldn't be happier. Number 4, shining the spotlight. Raw featured a number of tag matches, a rarity in the WWE despite the Red Brand having a strong selection of tag teams. While fans might be disappointed to see the Street Profits lose to Alpha Academy, Ford and Dawkins' current role as elevating Otis and Gable is likely temporary. The different tag team matches show the WWE has a solid tag team division if it just takes the time to feature them rather than having them disappear for weeks. Number 5, Dynamic Dominic steps up. A last night's showdown between the Mysterios and The Miz saw Dominic step up on the microphone, rebuffing The Miz's accusations that Papa Ray got him his job and hinting Dominic doesn't deserve it. Dominic did well in the ring, but he hasn't always set the world on fire with his promos. But not so last night, as it was full of fire and confidence. Number 6, a silly segment, but entertaining. A last night's silly segment between 24/7 champion Reginald and former champion Dana Brooke was simply silly, but entertaining nevertheless. The WWE followed up on last week's unrequited romance storyline between Reggie and Brooke, with Reggie claiming he'd lay down for Brooke to take the belt, only to spurn her. Well, that is until Brooke kissed her way to a win. There are times when we think the 24/7 title has been played out, but comedy segments like this suggest there's still life in that big ugly green belt. And a good main event. Speaking of tag team excellent, RK Bro vs Rollins and Owens was a fantastic match and a magnificent main event. While the WWE has tag team specialists like Alpha Academy and the Street Profits on Raw, the Seth KO team as well as RK Bro is a reminder that tag team wrestling shouldn't be a step down for stars of their caliber, and it also is a good way to give single stars something to do when the singles title picture is too crowded. The feud between RK Bro and Rollins and Owens could be a good bout for Mania, depending on whether Stone Cold returns to the WWE for Mania and wrestles KO. But that was a good. What about the bad? Is number 1, a terrible post-pay-per-view show. Did the WWE phone it in last night's post-pay-per-view show? That's hard to deny despite the good segments we mentioned. The WWE did continue the build-up for Brock vs Roman, and things got started for the Mysterios vs The Miz and Logan Paul, but the rest of the show was a dud in terms of build-up for the 2022 show of shows, and an uneven show in terms of match quality and interesting segments. And number 2, why are Rollins and Owens in the tag team title picture? Now we're going to ask the same question that Alpha Academy asked. Why did Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens get a shot at the upcoming tag title match between RK Bro and the champions Otis and Gable? On paper it's a legitimate question, but not in the WWE where wrestlers routinely insert themselves into championship opportunities with no logic driving the storyline. Are we asking too much, or should we just accept the WWE's illogical storytelling? Number 3. Meaningless matches. Although Raw had some stellar tag team matches, it's impossible to ignore the magnitude of meaningless matches on display last night. Doudrop vs Belair, Damian Priest vs Shelton Benjamin, and Rhea Ripley vs Nikki Ash all reeked of filler and redundancy. The WWE should have done much better with last night's show, as the fans had little interest in seeing these 3 lopsided bouts. Number 4. A sloppy start. As strong as the mic work was between the Mysterios and the new team of Logan Paul and The Miz, Logan Paul's sloppy skull-crushing finale on Dominic Mysterio was a bad sign of what to expect in the ring. Now we get it, he's not a wrestler, but his performance was terrible and he's got his work cut out for him after Bad Bunny's performance at WrestleMania 37. And where's Alexa? Where's Alexa Bliss? And Little Miss Bliss returned to compete in the Women's Elimination Chamber after apparently being cured of her demon doll persona, so why didn't the WWE follow up with an appearance on Raw? While PW Insider reported that the WWE made a number of changes to the show, it's hard to believe that they'd miss out on Bliss. Let's just hope the WWE has figured out a direction for her, as well as a new storyline to put her in. There was nothing particularly ugly about last night's show, but what a waste of a great opportunity to follow up on the buzz created by Brock Lesnar's WWE Championship win. They started off well with a brilliant Brock segment, but did little to build up any storylines for Mania other than The Miz and Logan Paul taking out the Mysterios. But what did you think of Raw last night? Let us know in the comments down below. Our first story looks at a dream match not happening at WrestleMania. Atop today's news is another sign that the rumored dream match between The Rock and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39 won't be happening. While it's important to remember that the match has been talked about for years, Dave Meltzer is reporting there's another reason The Rock, who is busy with film and TV projects as well as his involvement with the XFL, might not be able to appear. Speaking on the Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer noted, Dwayne being all over next year promoting this thing, the XFL, which could be interesting because next year is the WrestleMania that he was supposed to work with Roman Reigns, and that would be in April. That's probably going to be in the middle of the season. This follows the report that the NFL and XFL will be working together. Wrestling Inc. reported, XFL President Russ Brandon told ESPN's Kevin Seifert that the new agreement will give the NFL a petri dish to experiment with proposed rules, test new equipment and develop prospective officials and coaches. Now, do you think The Rock will actually wrestle? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, WWE teasing Cody Rhodes. And one of the biggest questions currently on fans' minds is what is next for former AEW star Cody Rhodes and whether the rumors are true that he's left AEW for the WWE. While there has been no confirmation of the American Nightmare signing with the WWE, some people watching last night's Raw think the WWE dropped 2 hints he's on his way back. Wrestling News' Paul Davis reported, during the Miz's promo when he talked about his tag team partner, he referred to him as dashing and seemingly teased that Cody Rhodes was going to be his partner. Rhodes was referring to as dashing Cody Rhodes for a short time in his first run in the WWE. Davis also referred to a tweet from WWE.com recalling the Miz as dashing comments. Someone who comes from a fighting family, a pioneer, someone who's very dashing. The WWE's Twitter account rolled out another Easter egg for fans, with Davis noting, later during Edge's segment, the WWE Twitter account made a reference to Smoke and Mirrors, which is also the name of Cody's old WWE theme song. Could the WWE be throwing out some hints that Cody is on his way? What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, John Cena's real fight in the ring. Did John Cena break one of wrestling's most sacred rules? Former WWE superstar Rene Dupree discussed how this happened on the 29th April 2004 edition of SmackDown. Speaking on his Cafe de Rene podcast, Dupree recalled, I remember we were being told by Fit Finlay and other agents that the physicality between me and John Cena afterwards, when he made the save, had to look real. And let me tell you, it was as real as can be. I busted his eyebrow open. He was bleeding and he busted my lip. I think I had a bruise somewhere on my face. Those were live rounds. One of the foundations of wrestling is that wrestlers work tirelessly to protect each other during matches, avoiding accidentally injuring each other and never intentionally trying to hurt an opponent. Well, this certainly isn't the only time the WWE has asked its superstars to knock each other about. You may recall 2016 SummerSlam bout between Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton, where the Beast busted Orton's head open with hardware elbow shots, reportedly at the direction of WWE officials. And finally, WWE Rehires a fired superstar. Last but not least, good news for Drake Maverick, as a former 24/7 champion has been rehired by the WWE again. The WWE's revolving door policy of hiring Maverick, releasing him and rehiring him saw him released in 2020, only to be rehired shortly thereafter. Maverick was one of several wrestlers released last November, but Fightful Select and PW Insider are reporting that WWE has hired him back, this time as a member of Raw's creative team. Congratulations to Maverick. But there you have it, folks, the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, as well as our look at the Red brand. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.